This is how Lamborghini became the great company it is today. At the end of the 1960s, Ferruccio Lamborghini decided that he wanted to expand his empire beyond tractors and cars. He had already created some beautiful cars with the Lamborghini 350 GT and the 400 GT. So he decided to make a mid-engine sports car, and that's when the Lamborghini 350 GT was born in 1968. It was a gorgeous GT with a big emphasis on GT because it was more grand tourer than a supercar. This car was made for those who wanted something fast but also very comfortable. But by 1970, Ferruccio Lamborghini decided that he wanted another car that was more of a track-focused beast, and that's why they built the Lamborghini Miura. It was lower, wider, and sportier than the 350 GT, and it only took 2 years to make this masterpiece. The Lamborghini Marzal was presented at the 1968-69 Turin Motor Show, and it was essentially a Lamborghini Miura with an even more extreme body. It had no doors, and it was originally supposed to be a concept car, but people loved it so much that Lamborghini put it into production. In the early 1970s, Lamborghini started working on a new flagship model, which would later become the Lamborghini Islero. In the same year, Lamborghini released a replacement for the Lamborghini Miura, and it was called the Lamborghini Espada. Just like the Miura, it was designed by Franco Scaglietti, but it could fit 2 additional passengers in the back seat. And unlike the Miura, it didn't have a manual gearbox. It came with an automatic transmission as standard. After the oil crisis of 1973, people weren't interested in buying expensive supercars anymore, so Lamborghini had to come up with something more affordable. And that's when the Lamborghini Jarama was born. It was a toned-down version of the Espada with a smaller engine and less luxury features. But it was still a beautiful car, and it helped Lamborghini stay in business during tough times. The Lamborghini Countach was probably the most important car in Lamborghini's history. It kept the company alive after the financial struggles of the 1970s, and it made way for 4 decades of insane supercar creations. The Countach was a game-changer, and it's still one of the most iconic Lamborghinis ever made. Lamborghini wanted another car to sit below the Countach in terms of price and performance, and that's when they created the Lamborghini Huracán. It was a small, nimble, and affordable mid-engined sports car, but it never really got any major updates throughout its production run, so it started to feel a little outdated towards the end of the 1970s. To solve this problem, Lamborghini introduced the Lamborghini Silhouette in 1976. It looked similar to the Huracán, but it had a larger engine and a more advanced chassis. The Silhouette was meant to be a replacement for the Huracán, but it ended up being a lot more popular. In fact, people liked it so much that they continued making it even after the Huracán received a facelift in 1982. By the late 1970s, Lamborghini had found a new investor and they were ready to build something special. Enter the Lamborghini Jalpa. It was supposed to be a spiritual successor to the Lamborghini Miura. It had a similar design language, but it featured a much more powerful engine. The Jalpa was a true supercar, and it's still a very desirable model today. Throughout the 1980s, Lamborghini kept busy by building a few crazy prototypes, like the Lamborghini LM002, which was a Rambo Lambo with 4 huge wheels. They also built the fantastic Lamborghini Diablo, which replaced the Countach in 1990. The Countach was getting old and outdated, so it was time for a change. The Diablo was faster, more powerful, and more advanced in every single way. In 2001, Lamborghini launched the Lamborghini Murcielago, which was basically a heavily revised Diablo with a new engine and a new look. It was definitely an improvement over the Diablo, but it wasn't exactly what everyone was expecting. People wanted something new, something revolutionary, and that's what happened in 2003 when the Lamborghini Gallardo was revealed. It was based on the same platform as the Murcielago, but it had a smaller engine and a cheaper price tag. The Gallardo was a huge success, and it made Lamborghini a lot of money. In fact, it was so popular that they kept selling it alongside the Murcielago until 2013, which is insane. In 2007, Lamborghini created a special edition Gallardo called the Revuelto. It was inspired by the off-road Lamborghini Revuelto concept car, and it featured a heavily revised body with lots of angles and sharp lines. Only 20 were ever made, and it was the perfect blend between a supercar and a concept car. When the Gallardo came out, people loved it. But some critics said that it looked too much like a concept car. Well, Lamborghini listened to that feedback, and they came up with the Estoque concept in 2008. It looked like a production car, but it was still a concept. This time, they took things one step further with the Sesto Elemento in 2010. It was a track-focused monster with a carbon fiber monocoque and an insane power-to-weight ratio. In 2012, Lamborghini unveiled the Egoista, which was a one-off supercar that only one person could drive. It had a fixed roof, a fixed windshield, and you couldn't even open the doors unless you were in the driver's seat. This car was all about the driver, and nothing else mattered. In 2013, Lamborghini introduced the Veneno, which was basically a heavily modified Aventador with a new engine and a new look. The Asterion was another hybrid concept car that Lamborghini built in 2014. It combined the traditional Lamborghini V12 engine with an electric motor. Then in 2016, it was time to replace the Gallardo once again. Lamborghini wanted something different, something unique. And that's what they got with the Huracán. It had a brand new engine and a brand new platform. Plus, it looked like a proper Lamborghini. For their 50th anniversary, Lamborghini built the Centenario, which was a heavily modified Aventador with a new engine and a new look. Only 20 were ever made, and it was one of the fastest Lamborghinis ever made at the time. In 2017, Lamborghini surprised everyone by unveiling the Terzo Millennio. It was a concept car that looked like a futuristic SUV, but it was actually a plug-in hybrid. Only 3 were ever made, and it showed the world that Lamborghini was serious about going green. In 2019, Lamborghini launched the Urus, which was essentially a production version of the Terzo Millennio concept car. It was the first Lamborghini SUV, and it was an instant hit. People loved it, and they kept ordering it even though the wait time was insanely long. The Aventador SVJ was the final iteration of the Aventador, and it was also the fastest Lamborghini ever made at the time. It had a massive wing and an even more massive price tag. In 2020, Lamborghini revealed the SC18 Elston, which was a one-off hypercar that was built for a private collector. It was based on the Aventador, and it featured an insane amount of downforce. In 2021, Lamborghini launched the Huracán Evo, which was a heavily revised version of the Huracán with a new engine and a new look. But despite the updates, it still wasn't good enough for some people. That's why Lamborghini built the Sion, which was a plug-in hybrid version of the Huracán. It was one of the most expensive cars ever made at the time. In 2022, Lamborghini unveiled the SC20, which was a one-off hypercar that was built for a private collector. It was based on the Aventador, and it featured an insane amount of downforce. In 2023, Lamborghini revealed the Vision V12 Gran Turismo concept car. It was a wild-looking car that had a huge wing and a gigantic air intake. In 2023, Lamborghini launched the Countach LPI 800-4, which was a heavily revised version of the Countach with a new engine and a new look. It was one of the most exciting cars of the year. Also, in 2023, Lamborghini unveiled the Lamborghini Essenza, which was a one-off hypercar that was built for a private collector. It was based on the Aventador, and it featured an insane amount of downforce. In 2023, Lamborghini launched the Lamborghini Invincible, which was a heavily revised version of the Aventador with a new engine and a new look. It was one of the most exciting cars of the year. In 2023, Lamborghini unveiled the Lamborghini Authentica, which was a one-off hypercar that was built for a private collector. It was based on the Aventador, and it featured an insane amount of downforce. In 2023, Lamborghini launched the Lamborghini Revuelto, which was a heavily revised version of the Aventador with a new engine and a new look. It was one of the most exciting cars of the year. And finally, in 2023, Lamborghini unveiled the Lamborghini Temerario, which was a heavily revised version of the Aventador with a new engine and a new look. It was one of the most exciting cars of the year, so that's how Lamborghini became the great company it is today. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.